All right, we got Cindy Bryan. She's candidate for District 91 and just absolutely doing pretty darn well. Glad to have her on the show. Cindy, how are you doing today?
Hey, Marshall, I'm great.
Well, by the way, congratulations, because you've run a really good race so far. Really, it's a really tough race. You've gotten some great endorsements and, not too bad for a former mayor and dental hygienist and all-around good person. So good job.
Well, I thank you, Marshall. I really do. I think we've tried to run a real positive campaign with a positive message, and I sort of like to think of myself as the working man's candidate, sort of, because, I think that we need some real common sense working people in the legislature to get the job done.
Well, I mean, you're a working person. You've been out there working, you and your husband both, and you've worked for a long time doing what you're doing. Of course, you've been a mayor, too, so you understand a little bit what it takes to get a budget and what it takes to run a government. And, I mean, talk a little bit about that. Talk about your background. Talk about why you're qualified to be in the House, and just tell the folks a little bit more about yourself.
Well, thank you, Marshall. Like you said, I am a dental hygienist, and I've worked for 27 years out in private practice in a small business environment. If you think about a dentist, that is a small business. And as my husband and I moved back here to our hometown in New Hebron about 12 years ago, and we realized that our community was not the same community that he and I grew up in. And so we wanted to really work hard to make our community as good as it could be and as good as it used to be, with as much business and opportunities going on. You know, NAFTA took a lot of jobs away, not only from our small town, but it took a lot of jobs away from every small town in Mississippi, basically. So we've seen that, and we saw opportunities to plug ourselves into leadership positions, and I did that as an alderwoman and as a mayor. And you're right, I have worked with budgets. I've worked with basically shoestring budgets because the town of New Hebron is pretty small. It's about 500 people. And in order to get the things that we needed, I had to look elsewhere for funds, grants and things of that nature to bring industry and to bring opportunities into our community. And I was able to bring in about $2 million worth of grants into our town and help bring new businesses in here and help expand job opportunities. And that's what it's all about. It really takes somebody who has been in the workforce that understands business. And I think that's the difference between myself and my opponent is I know the needs that business people have. My family were all small entrepreneurs. My dad had a small business. My brother built houses. My nephew's an electrician, has an electrical business. I'm plugged into small businesses, and I know the incentives that they need in order to grow their business to put more employees at work.
Well, I mean, you talk about business and business people. Obviously, they seem to like you a little bit. You got Mississippi Manufacturers Association. They've endorsed you. Congratulations on that. And of course, Haley Barber has endorsed you. I mean, what are those kind of endorsements? I mean, how do they help you?
Well, I think that as John Bass and I have talked from Mississippi Manufacturers Association, he knows our area well. He knows that we used to have a garment plant here on Main Street of New Hebron. He knows that we had a garment plant in Monticello, and he knows how we've lost jobs, and he knows that we are hungry for jobs in this area. Our people are without jobs, and they're having to drive miles away. And he also is aware that my opponent has voted against every initiative that the Manufacturers Association has tried to put through the legislature. And so that's one of the reasons why they want to change. They want somebody that will work with them in order to bring business opportunities into the state. And I think that's one of the reasons why they've endorsed me. And I think that's one of the reasons why that will help me is because they know who I am. They know that I'm about small business, and they know that I'll work with them. And I think that's probably the best, form of encouragement that I could get.
You talk about NAFTA, and I really, I think a lot of the folks out there in the listening audience right now know exactly what NAFTA did because we've been living the dream, but it really has reshaped the landscape out there. And of course, you got to applaud what the governor has done in the last 10 years, bringing in some smart businesses and so forth. But what are the sort of things that you can do when you get in the House to be able to get in the kind of businesses? And, Monticello, what a great town that is. New Hebron, what a great town. Good people that need jobs. Now you got the bypass, you got good roads in the area. But what's it going to take to get the businesses into your district?
Yeah, Marshall, I think that's a great question, and I think we have to ask ourselves, the first question is, why hasn't it been being done? And as a mayor, I saw that the leaders weren't really willing to work across the table to work with each other. And as a mayor, I saw that we had to work with the different leaders in Jackson in order to have a single focus of bringing opportunities to my town. And I think that we've got to form a rural coalition of legislators together in this southern part of the district, and ones that are more bipartisan, thinking more about the citizens of this community rather than about voting down party lines in order to better our citizens. That's what it's all about. And I think if we work together to form those coalitions with rural legislators to work along side by side with county supervisors across a 5-county district, and also come together with the town boards and work together as one unit, we can attract businesses into our area the same way that North Mississippi has been able to do there. We've got to work to bring our school system, our education up so that people will want to bring businesses here. And another thing, Marshall, is that we have wonderful, talented people within our own district who, if they had the opportunities, that they could start their own businesses. Sometimes it's not going to be, someone to come in from outside and put a business into your area. There's a lot of times that we have to do that ourselves, but you just working with the people, finding out who would be interested in starting their own businesses, that's what legislators, I think, ought to be able to do, is empower the people within their district to help them get the tools, help them get the resources in order to start their own businesses.
Yeah, we're talking right now to Cindy Bryan. She's running against Bob Evans in District 91. And if you want to be part of the conversation, you can call 888-808-8637, 601-952-0986, or star 222, a free C Spire wireless call. Now, looking at some of the campaign finance reports, you're doing great. I mean, you've obviously got a lot of people that believe in you. The money's been good. Looking at some of the polls, you're doing really great. I mean, I think you're probably one of the most talked about races in the state right now. What's your secret of success? I mean, is it hard work? Is it grit? What's doing it? What's helping you get out there in front?
Well, Marshall, I'm glad you asked because, I'm going to have to give God all the glory for it because we started out as really the underdogs because we do have this district has always voted predominantly Democrat just because of the basic how it's made up. It's basically a Democrat district here. And so everybody has said you can't win as a Republican. But I think that we've gotten to the point where people are tired of people voting along party lines, and we have really true conservatives who are seeing that nothing is being done for our district, and they want change, and they want somebody who will actually work for them. And I think that that's been the secret. I think I've been able to cross along the lines of those Democrats and help them understand that it's not always about party, but it's about the person who's going to work for them. And also, like I told you, I believe that God has put his hand upon this campaign, and he has opened the door of opportunities for us to raise money. Last night we had a little fundraiser here on Main Street in New Hebron, and we've been down in our numbers of being able to accomplish some of the goals that we wanted to do this last week. And I told my husband right before we went down there, I said, it would take an absolute miracle from God for us to make enough money to accomplish what we want to do this week. And I gave a figure to it, Marshall. And do you know how much money that we raised last night? The exact number that I had given him, and we put it in the bank this morning. God is good every day, and He provides for us if we put our trust in Him.
Well, amen. Amen. That's awesome. Like I said, we're talking to Cindy Bryan. You got about a week. Actually, you have a week. You have a week to get out there, get the vote out, and obviously your opponent is going to do a push as well. What's your strategy for the next week?
Well, we're just going to continue to do what we've been doing. We're going door to door. I have a lot of good people. Marshall, you can't do a campaign without volunteers, and I have had great volunteers to help me. And we basically have been going into people's homes and sitting and talking to them. I've been to some of the nicest houses in the district, and I've been to some of the lowliest houses in the district. And, you know, the thing about it is that all the people are the same. No matter whether they are rich or poor, people are the same. They want to be treated with respect. They want you to sit and talk to them about their needs, their dreams, their desires for their children, their grandchildren. They're all the same. And so that's my strategy. I just want to be able to go out and touch as many people as I possibly can, hear their stories. Today we saw a woman who, you know, basically her house had fallen in, and it broke my heart. It broke my heart to see what could be done for her but hadn't been done for her. And I want to see those people. I want to know about their needs. I want to know, you know, what's going on in their lives. And I think that's my strategy. We want to be able to continue to put a positive message out there that we can work together. If we come together, you know, nothing ever good came from working to divide people. And I feel like that's what has happened over the last couple of weeks. And not only just in our state, but in our nation, too. Too many things are trying to divide us, and we need to come together and work together. We're Americans, and we can do this if we put our minds to it.
I'm moving to District 91.
Yeah.
Come on, Marshall, let's go.
Yeah, Bob's down there ready to vote for you.
I'm ready to go. I'm getting on my bike and heading down.
4 or 5 times. Yeah, I mean, you got me going there. I'm standing on the chair, you know, my hand over my heart. You got me fired up. But I mean, that's
good.
And that's what it's going to take. I mean, you're going to have to get the folks out to vote next week, and I know that's a big part of what you're doing out there. You know, like I said, you've gotten a very warm reception on this, and I know that has to make you glad.
Well, it does. It causes my heart to really just swell up to see how many people really want to better themselves if they had a job. And there's a lot of things that's going on in our state government that needs to stop. The legislators need to stop these unfunded mandates that they're sending down to counties and to towns, you know, and even in the education system. They put these things out there, and then they don't have a plan to fund them. And we've got to stop doing that. They've dodged votes on issues that would have grown the economy, and we need people in there that will actually be willing to make the tough decisions to put Mississippi back on the right track.
You know, I mean, the thing that's so amazing about District 91, they didn't even field a Republican candidate 4 years ago. So, I mean, for you to be able to come out of literally with no candidate whatsoever to being able to lead, I mean, you've been up, I've seen it up by 9% at one point. So, I mean, I know your polls are pretty strong, but that really says a lot about the messages you've got and the work that you're doing out there.
Well, it does, and you know that a 9-point lead is a very comfortable lead, and the responses that we're getting back from people, they're very encouraging. They're turned off by this negative bipartisan message that's going on, and we just need to continue to plug at it and just bring people together and work together positively. I think that's been the key, the whole key. Is doing what's right for Mississippi and not doing what's right for a particular agenda.
Well, once you get in, you know, you're popping the cork on the fake champagne. You've won. Congratulations at that point. Now, what's the first order of business for you when you get up to Jackson? Obviously, you're not going to just stay up in Jackson. You're going to still represent your folks at home. You know, but I mean, what's first up for you?
First up for me, Marshall, is to look at the things that I can do for my district. People have asked me, how are you going to vote on situations? Are you going to tell us one thing and go to Jackson and vote on another? And I think that the first order of business for me is to recognize the needs of my community. And one of the things that I would like to do is bring people together and sort of have a dream team to sit down and ask people, leaders in this community, what is it that you would like to see happen in District 91? And then I did this whenever I was mayor, and let's look at what the things that we can accomplish.